rejection and so on. And they are very aware that we talk about them, and for them, they're really, really grateful. They're brand new to the country, they don't know anybody, and here we are, a group of strangers in New York, sending them best wishes and talking about them and posting things on Facebook. And Noah is moved to tears every time I talk to him about the idea that you guys are thinking about his daughter. Yeah, and it's really lovely. So keep doing that, especially tomorrow. She's going under for a biopsy or make sure the heart is okay and she's okay. As an aside, he told me today that a nurse, just out of the blue, it started snowing. It snowed twice over in Pittsburgh, and she had never seen snow. And while she was asleep, he went to collect a bucket of snow so she could touch it, and she was like weirded out, and it was amazing. And then as she was doing that, it began snowing again, and it was the first time she saw snow out the window, and she was ecstatic. She was really happy. And so it was just, you know, the first time you see snow. So with a new heart, she got to see snow. So thank you for everyone that's liking the Facebook and all that, and it's actually lovely. Let's see what I can do. So that finishes the set of secondary vows that protect this idea around the 6 perfections. Yeah? Now, remember the 3 moralities? Do you remember the first morality is... There's 3 moralities, not the 3 sets of vows. This is 3 moralities. One is stop harming people. Yeah? Like, what happens in your world if you stop harming others? Yeah? Purposefully or unconsciously. Imagine if you did no harm to others. Your world would be very different. Yeah? The second morality, which is what we just covered, is doing goodness, collecting goodness, doing good stuff. Yeah? Building up your storehouse of goodness. Yeah? Doing good deeds. Being a bloody do-gooder. Yeah? And that charges you up in a positive way. The third set of morality is working for the sake of others. Yeah? So these are specific around those. Okay? Does that make sense? And I'll go through them quickly because this is apparently, even in the text, Jason Kappa, like everybody that's explaining the Bodhisattva vows, does it really diligently for the first set, for the root vows in the beginning, and then towards the end they go, and the same as the last one, and the same as the last one. So just get these ideas into your head. Failing to assist someone in need. And they say here, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody thinks with words I can help everybody. You know, and everybody's free to give advice. It's more with your hands than with your mouth. Yeah? They're like, why don't you get up and do something for other people? The idea here is whether they're doing a particular task or learning a language or going somewhere, or they're protecting their stuff, or they're trying to bring people together that have split. You know, this idea that we're forever dividing in this world. If someone's trying to bring others together, to assist them in that. And anytime you avoid doing that, when you see it necessary out of anger or laziness, you break this vow. And I wanted to tell myself the idea of Master Asanga, who had been wanting to meet Maitreya, wanting to meet a Buddha, right? So imagine yourselves for, I don't know, 12 years or whatever, going to a meditation cave, going, okay, I figured out the world of getting a job and getting a car and that's not working for me. I'm definitely going to do something. I'm getting enlightened. I really am. I really, really am. I've studied enough. I understand enough. Now I'm going to go to this cave and try and make contact with an enlightened being. I'm trying to generate enough virtue to connect to Maitreya. Yeah? So he's done this. I can't remember the story, whether it's 12 years or a long time. Yeah? And he's like, he never meets him. And he feels towards the end this horrible sense of failure, that maybe they don't exist. Maybe all this goodness I've done and there's nothing coming. Yeah? And so he finishes the retreat, the long retreat, and he leaves and he goes down to the town, and on his way to the town he sees a dog who has been run over by a cart. And half mangled dog, and it's been there for, it's still alive, but very fragile. And so he sees that it's got maggots in a wound, and he tries to pick up the maggots, and then he's got these Bodhisattva vows ideas, he's got these ideas growing in his mind, and he realizes that he's harming the maggots if he picks them with his hand, because his hand is squishing them. So then he's like, how do I not harm anything? How, he's spent years in this cave trying to reach enlightened being. He's got this subtlety of awareness of harming or not harming, and he's like, I'm hurting this thing. How do I, like, he's moved by this dog's tragedy and he's trying to help it, but he's also moved by these other things that are feeding. So he bends down and goes to get them off the dog with his tongue, because he figured then they're warm and it's moist, and if I can remove each maggot with my tongue, and as he does that, his head touches the ground. And when he opens his eyes, the dog is not the dog, but it's Maitreya. And he meets this Buddha finally, and instead of going, oh my God, it's nice to meet you, he says, where the hell have you been? Where have you been? I've been trying, I've been trying desperately. I've been generating goodness to have this experience. Where have you been? And Maitreya says, I was there all along. Meaning your karma wasn't virtuous enough to see me. I was there all along. I know I was there all along because every time you cleared your throat and spat, you were spitting on me. I was sitting next to you while you were meditating, and you're like, and I was there. And so having this vow to assist someone, to help someone, imagine if Asanga hadn't done that. The end of the story there is he would have never met Maitreya. The end of the story there is that he's so elated that he puts Maitreya on his shoulder and runs into town, yet completely happy that he's met this thing, and the town people see this crazy man carrying a dead dog around his neck, right? Explaining the idea of karma and emptiness. For him it was Maitreya. For those that don't have the karma to perceive that, it's a dead dog. Yeah. So I think about that story when I think of this, because imagine if he didn't have this subtle instinct to help things, to want to assist. Yeah. In this story, he would never have met an enlightened being. I love that story. Failing to serve the sick out of laziness and so on. So failing to remove suffering. So blind, handicapped, etc. It's the same flavors. Failing to give good reason to those who are acting in a dangerous way. I think it's the vows of acting wild. This is when you see somebody who's planting enough causes for their own future suffering. They're so enraged or angry or acting out that it will cause them harm in the future, and you don't do anything about it. Yeah?
But, even if you're not angry or lazy about it, if you feel that your words aren't going to have an effect, should you still try, according to this? Because I feel like some people I know, if I start spouting Buddhism at them, they're going to be like, I don't want to hear what you're saying.
And it shouldn't be Buddhism. It should be helping them. Yeah.
Right, but you understand where I'm coming from.
This is developing the attitude that if you see people doing stupid stuff that hurts them, you should make an effort to help them not do that. And if you think your efforts won't make a difference because that friend won't listen to you normally, the typical example here is, I've got friends who will do the complete opposite. Don't kill those bugs because it's harmful to life. And so they go, which bugs? And then they'll do it worse. For those, it's not helpful to talk to them about it. You see, the first thing you need to do is develop the wish, the impulse to want to do that. And you'll get this when we get to the end of class. The advice from everybody is, do not do any of these activities, or do not make any of these promises and go way beyond your reasonable capacity. Because if you do, you're doing yourself some harm. If you're overstretching all the time and doing things against your nature that you think, then that's not what this is for. you're developing, nurturing lovingly some capacity in your mind that will flower into a result. But do it at your capacity. And they say for Bodhisattva, start giving with vegetables and things you can. Don't go and give away an eyeball, straight away. So it's a good question. This is not to force you to do all these things you don't want to do. This is to develop the attitude that you think you can help and make an effort to help.
I would say it's so hard to know how to truly help.
Sorry?
It's so hard to know how to truly help. It's like one of those things where I feel like that's why to meditate, and that's part of that's how to get to that place. And often I feel paralyzed in trying to help because I know that I don't know how to help.
And it's like a sangha with the dog and the maggots. Like anything I do is going to harm. Mm-hmm. At what point do you do an action that you are certain will be a good action? So first of all, nominally, you pretty much for the obvious things you can work with. For the other stuff, you're developing this beautiful impulse, and you're growing this impulse until it drives you to behavior that you could see actually helping. Yeah, but it's a good struggle. It's a better struggle than not. Yeah. I know I'm rushing through this, but we're so close. Yeah. Failing to reply to someone who has helped you, repay someone who has helped you by giving them help. And this is not tit for tat. This is, I think of my teacher and some of our teachers, Holy Geshe Michael and then Ken Rinpoche, and I think about the lineage that this information got packaged, experienced, handed down. Packaged, experienced, handed down. And I don't know what I did to meet people that I believe are enlightened beings. I don't know what I did to have a belief system that makes me say every word that comes out of your mouth changes me. And then not to have just one person and gradually, because of what they taught me, another person, and you're well transformed. And then you think about, how did that happen? How did I meet that being? Who is that being? He was born on a planet like you and me. But out of all the possible things they did, they chose to spend their entire existence, every breath that comes in and out of that body, developing these ideas, nurturing them, understanding them, communicating them, memorizing them. And because of that, I got them. And then I think of Ken Rinpoche, who had to walk from Tibet into India through the Himalayas and lose God knows how many friends. And then still decides to memorize and continue and write books and share. And an entire life. At the end of that life, you can't move too much. You need to go to the doctor, the arm doesn't work, the hair. But with that entire consciousness, that entire life, they devoted to these ideas so I may have hope that I can beat the cycle that we're all stuck in. I really do have this hope. I really do have this belief. Truly. I didn't have it always. And it was for the goodness of those people who have devoted their entire life. And that's teachers. Think of your mothers. Think of your mothers, of your fathers, of your siblings. And then if you want to notch it up a level, go to a shop and buy a sandwich and look at the people behind the counter who have complete lives and they need to feed people and whatever, and they're slicing stuff for you and the bread and the toasting, and someone made the toaster. And imagine developing the attitude of gratitude, complete and utter gratitude for we're all going to die. And out of all the things that people can do, they've done this to help you. Eat that sandwich. Nurture you in education, your parents feeding you, housing you, your mother caring for you when you fall and when you're sad, when you're depressed. And so the idea for this vow is to develop this gratitude and this wish to repay, this wish to say thank you. And imagine to have that lovely, buzzing, bubbling feeling every time you saw somebody. It's a different world than take. It's a completely different result. So that's that now. Failing to dispel a person's grief. So when you see somebody hurting, when you see somebody in pain, making the attempt Yeah, because can you really dispel, you know, making the wish. You're developing, you're sprouting this seed to wanting to. So if you think about the ultimate result of becoming an enlightened being, this is a spontaneous thing. There's grief and you're there. There's hope and you're there. So this is a similar thing here. The wish to dispel another person's grief. And so imagine walking around having the impulse to want people not to be in grief. Yeah, situations. Failing to give money or material things to someone who wants them. This is similar to vow number 2. Failing to fill the needs of your circle of disciples. So you're sharing this information, and I wish we could just peel away the whole perception of Buddhism, yeah, and imagine that these are just ideas that can free us from the cyclical nature of suffering, and call them I don't care what you call them, but these are ideas that are nurtured in your mind, yeah, and you are now sharing these ideas with your friends, with your family, and you're seeing yourself helping them. And you began this machine going where you see yourself helping them and they help each other. And then at some point you fail to serve them. In the monastery, this means you turn up to a monastery and you just turn up. And then the Lama that takes you on, they feed you, they clothe you, they keep you. They take on your life. And then they go and look for funds and whatever. And then this other thing happens, then the students want to serve the teacher and the teacher wants to serve the student. And this beautiful dynamic happens between humans as they evolve to freedom. Here we go. Sorry, I'm rushing because I want to...
Go one more, because that was the one you just did.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Thank you, apologies.
That's okay.
Failing to get... Oh, I talked about 42 just now and that wasn't up there?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Exactly.
Failing to get along with someone. You get that? Yeah, I don't...
Go back.
I can't go back.
I'm on 42. Yeah, me too.
You are on 42?
Yeah.
Did I do it yet?
No, the next one.
Failing to get along with someone. So this is more subtle. Yeah, again, forget the obvious getting along with them. Think of the subtle getting along with them in your heart, whether you are wanting to come together with someone that you have disagreement with or whatever.
What if they've done you wrong?
What if they've done you wrong?
What if they've hurt you?
Yeah, what if they hurt
and they
you?
haven't apologized or made the effort, right? Because last week we talked about the other one, about ignoring those who are angry.
Who are angry, yeah. So what if someone hurt you?
Well, where does the hurt come from?
Understanding where the hurt comes from. If someone is harmful to you though, and you understand that it would be bad for them and you to interact, that's another thing. But what if you had the wish that you could figure it out? What if you could have the wish to not have any enemies on the world? What if you could actualize that wish? This vow is building in you the idea that you can get along with absolutely everybody. That there is the possibility that nothing is self-existently negative from out there, that every negativity you're experiencing comes from your perception. That at some level, you can be free from the perception that there are things that you are against. Yeah? Again, at your level. If you think perceptually and truly you can't, it would be no good to try and reconcile. So what I think about this is, we have Dharma friends, we have friends who practice these ideas together, and maybe I didn't like the way she said this or he said that, and it's the impulse to want to do this rather than to understand. Yeah. So what this vow is saying, 43 is saying to me is, I have a responsibility to bridge that gap to the best of my ability. Can I control the other person? Can I force the other person to get along with me? Can I force their perception of us getting along? Can I force my perception of seeing not getting along as something that can help me overcome? A little, yeah. Depends on your capacity. Yeah.
I was gonna say, does the red part of this apply to the whole thing. So like in other words, if I'm supposed to read this as a full sentence, I would say like, as long as you have the right effort to get along with someone, then you're not breaking the vow.
So I tried to do a couple of things. This is the positive. Just try and get along is the bottom line in the most summarized way.
Right.
The vow itself, if you want to get technical, is if you fail to get along because you have a desire to hurt or laziness, if you fail to get along because of those two things, you break this vow.
Yeah.
But if you want to generate the magic, the point, the positive here is try and get along. Yeah.
Right.
Is that?
Yeah.
When the issue comes from somewhere else, as you said, you can't force the other person, but if the issue is that it's a cyclical thing for them, and you can't really help them with that part of it, then what do you do? Because if you can force that perception...
No, true. I got you. You have to, this is where nobody can do it for you, you see? So when, I can only give you my personal experience. When I have the understanding that it doesn't matter what I'm going to say to this person, they're going to react, or they're going to use me in that same old way, whatever it is that I've perceived validly, yeah? Then getting along might mean I will back away with the intent not to harm them, because I want to get along with them. But at the moment, the only way I can force the least amount of harm is to remove. If my motivation is that, it's clean, it's nice, then I've kept this vow. So it's not thou shalt, you see? If you take it as thou shalt, you're in trouble. Yeah? It's not thou shalt. You have to understand karma, which we already did the course on karma. You have to understand how your mind and perception works. You need to understand emptiness. And when you do that, developing the attitude a goodness that was always available, but you never saw it because you're channeling that through your conduit. Yeah, does that make sense? So failing to do that, you're breaking this vow. So you're making a commitment, you're making a promise that I'm going to try to do that. Yeah. And this, I guess, answers your question. Failing to cut someone off when it's necessary. Mm-hmm. So when you see that you've tried this and you've tried that, and you're certain, in order to help them, yeah, that you must behave in a way that they will take as you're cutting me off. You're banishing me, you're punishing me, you're expelling me, you seem angry at me.
Even if it hurts.
Well, if you think that will free them from a cyclical pattern that is of greater harm, and truly your motivation is to free them and you, then this is the correct thing to do. This is not saying, okay, everybody go cut everyone off, right? Is that there will come a time where you will experience, so this is Hector talking out of experience, so this is not Jade Tsongkhapa, Sangha, etc. You try and do good things, and you will have the proverbial mythical battle with those things that don't want good things to happen. And the closer you are, the stronger these experiences of stopping you. Yeah, the demons, the shadows, the closer you are, the stronger the tide that pulls. It's still your perception. It's your mind doing your mind. It's the battle between ignorance and wisdom. Why do you think all the mythologies are about good and evil, black and white? But it's this innate human thing, this battle between the blessed, the divine, the most beautiful, the sacred. And and your own mind, your own habituation, wanting you back here in the cycle because it's used to it. Because it's comfortable, because I'm the same as all the other ants. And so it'll trick you, sometimes with a nice mask, sometimes with an angry mask, but at some point you have to cut that off. And sometimes it's a pinnacle experience, and sometimes it's this low-level radiation. But you will have resistance to your own goodness from your own self. And if you know your mind, if you've got shamatha, if you've got concentration, if you've understood, and you can keep that understanding, that wisdom, then any apparition, doesn't matter what it is. I think of the Buddha sitting there just at the last hours of getting enlightened, and Mara comes, right? And the demons are the demons are throwing spears, and he experiences flowers. Yeah, you will have the battle. At some point, the battle might appear as a friend or a thing, and you must cut that off. That's what I think about when I think about this vow. Hector's preaching, sorry.
You're killing it.
Okay, are you ready for the last? Because once you've got number 46, technically you actually have the good curse of having understanding about these things that others don't have, which gives you a heightened sense of responsibility about your consciousness, whether you like it or not. Yeah. So this is failing to use your supernatural powers. Yep. When necessary.
Oh no, you said it. Like that all the time.
And in our tradition, in the Gelugpa tradition, in the lineage of the teachers from Geshe Michael Roche, Ken Rinpoche, Trijang Rinpoche, Pavanga Rinpoche, the teacher of the Dalai Lama, Trijang Rinpoche, and that whole Gelugpa lineage, in our lineage, in our oral tradition, if you have to protect it, you're not supposed to say. Yeah, and so the classical story here in the text is there was a monk at the time of the Buddha who missed his wife, I think. Cliff, do you remember that story?
No, I don't remember that.
And this missing his wife and his home life stopped him from engaging fully with these ideas. He didn't really believe that there was other realms and hells and ghost realms and so on, so he just his mind kept going back to, I miss my family. And so, I think it was the Buddha, gave him a trip to the lowest hells. Perceptually took him and had an experience of complete and utter suffering as an immersion of this could be this is a valid reality for many beings. And he used his supernatural powers to bring that being down and then pop him back up and say, okay, now do you miss your family? You know? And he's like, I want to free my family from that, and I want to free myself from that. And he became a good student. So there are siddhis, there are things that you develop as a byproduct of this path, according to what I understand. And if you develop some of these things, and there comes a time where you must use it because you know when it would wake up a group of people or a person, and you know that would result in these people getting closer to their own enlightenment and be freeing from suffering. If you fail to act, because in our tradition we keep it quiet, then you're breaking this vow. So for me, I don't have to worry, about this vow. I'm going to go 5 minutes more. I'm going to give you a taste of what starts next week's discussion, and then we're going to finish. Is that okay? Yeah, thank you. So the following offenses are against the prayer, the wish for enlightenment. Yeah? The prayer is like, I hope I can get this wish in my heart. I hope that I pray. You have this supplication. I hope that this thing is born in me. That's all. You're not taking the vows, you're just taking this hope. These are against that. So I'll just do them quickly. Failing to support those who deserve it. Failing to let go of anger when someone hurts you. discriminating between people, like I like that one more than that one, not realizing that we're on the same boat, failing to take yourself to a spiritual teacher, failing to learn and contemplate wisdom, dharma, failing to think of others as you use objects, and that means realizing the sandwich you're eating was made from lives that were harvesting the wheat and people who were making plates and hours of people who are devoted to washing the dish, etc. When you start thinking about everything that you use, your sheets as you put your head on your pillow tonight, the beings that worked on getting that thing to your bed, from the IKEA truck drivers, and their lives aren't coming back. Out of all the things they could do, they're just doing stuff just so you could sleep. Failing to think that your good deeds are to benefit all living beings, so just thinking it's just for you. Here comes, in addition to the Bodhisattva vows, in the text they talk about these 4 black and 4 white. So the white are the antidotes to negative states of mind that damage this goodness you're growing. So knowingly deceiving your Lama, your teacher, the beings that are giving you wisdom, you know that you're trying to cheat. We'll talk about that more next week, but I want you to get the flavor. The antidote to that is never speak a lie to anyone, not even in jest. Yeah, that's the antidote to never speaking a lie. Because if you don't do that, then you're never going to lie to anyone, let alone your teacher. Get anyone to regret a virtuous thing that they've done. So you've seen people doing good things, and somehow you go in there and you get them to regret a goodness that they've done. The antidote to that is try and get people to practice things that benefit not just themselves but others. Yeah, is that right? The Bodhisattva ideal. This is saying an unpleasant thing to a Bodhisattva out of anger. So that sort of cuts off your root of virtue if you were in the previous classes, right? So let's remove the Buddhism out of this. You meet a being on this planet that is wholesome and goodness and beauty and loving, and you purposely go out of your way to hurt them. You say something horrible. Yeah. So imagine the Dalai Lama came in, Jesus came in, some rabbi came in, someone holy and beautiful, and they're devoting their time to do something lovely, and you, out of some stupidity or self-centeredness, go and say something out of anger, to cut them down, because you fail to understand the impact of those beings on this planet. So that would be the black deed. They'll put an asterisk in this because there's something special that you need to grow with this particular antidote that will help you in every aspect of all your path, and you can use it as soon as you walk out the door here. And this is to see the purity in everything. So regardless, if somebody's hurting you, if someone said something damaging, if you don't like their clothes, if that one's too fat, if that one's got funny hair, if that one's Jewish and that one's Italian and that one's Chinese, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we are one human family. We want the same thing. We want happiness. What if every activity, the ones you liked and the ones you didn't like, was a magical communication directly and specially to you that something magnificent and divine was getting close to you? What if you could see everything like that? What if you, regardless if it hurt you or if it made you happy, there's some aspect of your mind that said, something fishy is going on. These things are not what they appear. There's a suspicion that some brilliance is close, and I just can't see it because I'm angry or I'm upset or I'm jealous. But beyond that, right here, right now, in this interaction, there is magic. And maybe if I say the right thing, he'll get angry, and I know that's not going to happen, but secretly you know there's something magic. That's the antidote to that one, and there's something special in there. You can use that right now on the train, yeah? Next time some stranger looks at you like that and you're like, what? When was it we were at a restaurant and you were staring at the guy reading? You were judging the guy reading, you said? We were at Mama Net's or something. No, at the other restaurant.
Oh, yeah. At Northeast Kingdom.
And he was having some kind of experience, and then at Northeast Kingdom, and then you know, he's having his own private moment, sort of judging or thinking something and thinking this kind of synchronicity, and then the guy sort of looks at him from far away, right? Just turns. Out of all the people in the restaurant, he's like, inception, like that. Yeah. Being devious, dishonest, or deceitful to any being with a bad motivation. So the antidote would be to be totally honest and straightforward with every living being. So I want to talk next week about the idea of confession and cleaning out any negativity that you've got in. Not confession because someone needs to hear your bad deeds. Confession so you can get clean of any negativity that's building up inside you. The idea of truly, what if everybody found out all the yucky things about you and all the good things? So what? So what? They found out all these things. What freedom would you have if you lived completely congruent with your dirty little secrets? First, you would stop doing them because you don't like it. So if you don't want to have your dirty laundry out, don't have dirty laundry. Rather than trying to protect the dirty laundry, right? If you don't like all this judgment and opinions about your little bad deed, don't do the bad deed. It would push you to goodness, you see? Being completely honest that, you know, I'm screwed. Just like all of it. It sort of frees you up from having to protect this thing that doesn't even need protection because you're screwed up anyway. You know, like why are you protecting it? Be it. Be who you are. Be honest. Completely honest. Open. There's a cleanliness about that. And it will drive you to goodness, because if you don't like people seeing that aspect of you, you will change it rather than hiding it. So then next week, class 10, are we doing beautiful little flowers blooming? Yeah, sorry, I ran out of Legos and other nice things. Yeah, I want to talk about the idea of how you keep these vows, and it begins with the idea of one of the ideas that it begins is the idea that where did these vows come from? Who spoke with them? Who spoke them? Why did you get them? Why did you get these ideas and not something else? And then how do you keep them for you? How do you do your personal lab, your personal practice? So thank you so much for staying a little late. There's a bit more to do, but for now, let's offer it up and then dedicate it to hopefully every being that is on this planet with us, wanting to figure out life. May whatever they need, may they get it. Yeah. Pete.
Sangye Shindu Nitewagi Dropun Nanda Shimla Jipasho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamnilyatayami Digeoku Sunam Yeshe Soshin Sunam Yeshe Mejunwe Adampa Kunito Pasho.
Thank you so much for letting me share these beautiful, beautiful things. Yeah. Thank you for forcing me to try to live them better.
Thank you for teaching.
Thank you for
us.
teaching.
Thank you.
Hey.